that's the hard question, and the lack of a direct object that's stated, at least, gets to it. Okay. All right. And Tim, and that's to get back where Sam is. Let's go on. Maybe the next sentence will give us a clue. Go ahead. Well, what prompt was, I had heard you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you. So you, right? See, we're back on the same page, Sam. This is going to scare you, but yeah, it's a therefore that follows from I've had a new kind of experience. Yeah, it's a new kind of experience. I've had a new kind of experience, therefore. Yeah, go ahead, Tim. You want to say something? Adam, yeah.
Save that comment when we get to the epilogue. Yeah,
Okay.
that's really good.
Okay. Yeah.
That's excellent. Well, let's move on for the sake of time. We got to see how Brick Testament handles 42:6, right? He kind of combines Job's whole response 42:1-6 here. I know you can do all things, and no plan of yours can be thwarted. I've spoken to things I do not understand, therefore I despise myself and repent. They leave it a little more vague. The last sentence would be 42:6. I despise myself and repent. They use the first verb reflexively and say repent. It is a little leaves some more openness. It does leave out some nouns that are in the Hebrew text, but look at his posture. Does that say anything about interpretation? He's falling down. Yeah, you could say he's prostrating before God. You could say it's a stance of worship. You could also say it's a stance of just defeat, depending how you interpret that. He does have kind of an agonizing look on his face still. Well, let's.
Brick Testament left out 42:5.
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. Now we get to the epilogue. For all this, Richard, do you want to read?
Sure. After the Lord had spoken these words to Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has. Now therefore, take 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering. And my servant Job shall pray for you, for I will accept his prayer, not to deal with you according to your folly. For you have spoken of me, for you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has done. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did what the Lord had told them, and the Lord accepted Job's prayer. And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he had prayed for his friends, and the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then there came to him all his brothers and sisters, and all who had known him before, and they ate bread with him in his house. They showed him sympathy and comforted him for all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. And each of them gave him a piece of money and a gold ring. The Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. And he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, 1,000 donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He named the first Jemimah, the second Keziah, and the third Karen Hapuk. And in all the land there were no women so beautiful as Job's daughters. That's a line with some history. Yeah, so we'll go to that. For after this, Job lived for 140 years and saw his children and his children's children 4 generations. And Job died old and full of days.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard. So you can kind of see there's the outline of the epilogue here. It's not too long. There are 2 main parts. The first, Job's friends are humiliated, and their only hope of restoration is that Job will pray for them. And upon Job's prayer for his friends, notice Elihu's not in there. Once Job prays for his friends, his fortunes are restored twofold. 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, 1,000 donkeys. Given 7 sons and 3 daughters, Job dies old and full of days. It goes back to the fairy tale ending that we began the book with. Do y'all remember how the book began? That's not the first. That's how it began. That's in the first chapter. You're right. But it's not the first sentence. I think it's interesting to look at the first sentence of a book and the last second sentence of the book. Let's see how these words pair together. There once was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. And Job died old and full of days. So it begins with this once upon a time, ... And then it ends with, and they lived happily ever after. It has this fairy tale beginning and ending. It has these ridiculous numbers of animals in there, and it just doesn't seem to reflect the chunk of the middle of the book that we got to know so well in this class. It has a very different tone of fairy tale. Look at this beautiful picture by Gaudi of Job interceding for his friends. Job has a halo. It's a mark of a saint in the early Christian art. So Saint Job intercedes for his friends. He's on kind of like an altar-looking thing. Yeah, see, he's definitely high above them. It looks like there's a throne behind him almost. Yeah, and the little archways signifies an altar. Anything to add there, Shirley? We're good. So they're kind of two thematic. Go ahead, Ron. That's a great segue into where we're going next. That's a great segue. There is some tension left up there. And this is kind of the question I want to ask. The epilogue, is it happily ever after, or is it Job seeking a new normal? These have kind of been the two interpretive lines that people have used to take the epilogue. We hear that Job's fortunes are restored, his children, his livestock, but is that all it takes to undo such a tragedy? Can Job's life ever really be the same again, as Ron said? What do you think? What do you think Blake's illustration here, which is of the epilogue, what do you think this illustration shows? Is it happily ever after, or is it a new normal?
I don't know, it looks pretty happily ever after to me, I have to say.
Look at Job's face, though. He's playing a harp, but he looks like he's almost reluctantly playing a harp.
Okay.
Look at that, well, at least to me, look at his face.
Yeah.
What do y'all think? Presumably that's his wife. She looks a little reluctant too. They're all kind of looking off into the distance.
Like it's good for now, but it may not be good later?
Yeah, my first impression of the painting was that it was very happy. But once I looked at it more, it looked a little more dissonant at least.
Now see, that would be the new normal. That and by that phrase, which has kind of come into our language, I think we have an idea that we've resigned ourselves that things are not the way they were before. And to some extent, we've resigned it because it's not as good.
Yeah. We've had some. Sure, sure. It's an excellent, and it truly shows that our experience really affects how we look at the book of Job, and it's been so illustrative for you, and how you see the kind of the resolution of the book, the resolution of the whirlwind of everything, and how you respond and how you go forth. Thank you for